Hello, friends, and welcome to Kiki's Best Friends radio show, a show about people who have been through their worst and are now living their best. And I'm here with my co-host today, Mr. Ron Arenas of Picture Rock Heating and Cooling, or Cooling and Heating?
Picture Rock's Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. Picture Rocks, they are the best to keep you warm and hot during the winter and cool during the summer, correct?
Correct, yep.
And Ron is here with me as my co-host today as we are interviewing another radio host, part of the Common Good Media lineup, Mr. Wesley Soares. Hello, Wes.
Good afternoon.
So glad for you to join us today.
What a beautiful Sunday it is, right?
It is. The rain is slowing down now. It was raining during the week.
Well, hopefully it slows.
Oh, I hope so. We're a little behind the scenes. We are pre-recording this until February, so we're actually on Tuesday today, but this will be airing on Sunday for those listening.
Right.
And it has been raining this week and a little cold and damp for Tucson, don't you think?
No, it's perfect.
And I love it.
Do you?
I do, because we just don't have that much rain.
That's
here
true.
in the desert. So.
I think that's why I like the rain as well, because when you're born and raised in Tucson, it never rains. And it's like this weird phenomenon that happens. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I love how I have a hammock in my yard, and under the hammock, this I'm not even sure what it is because it's not grass. It's like a green clover has kind of spread everywhere, and it's just bright and colorful right now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun. And with the rain, we're going to get the flowers, and that I love.
Yeah, we're going to have a pretty spring because we have a lot of water in the ground.
Yep.
So that's good.
And lots more to come from what I hear.
Yeah.
Well, until then, we are staying sunny and happy today on Kiki's Best Friends radio show, as we're going to be interviewing Wes today. Wes comes at us. He is the host of the Tucson Tasty Show.
The Tucson Tasty Show.
I said that right, did I not? I said the Tucson Tasty Show.
We'll work on it.
Oh, it's the
Tucson Tasty Show.
The Tucson Tasty Show, yes. And he is showcasing the gastronomy, correct?
Well, the City of Gastronomy, UNESCO, but we also the main focus of the entire show is to actually interview the chefs of Tucson, because when you go out to eat, you're looking at their restaurant, you're looking at their service, you're looking at everything but the chef usually, and even if the chef is there, he's behind the curtain, right?
Yeah,
and
you never see him.
You never see him or get to say, "Why did you put a tamale in a lobster?"
Okay.
And that's what the show is entirely about.
And can you put a tamale in the lobster?
Absolutely. Chef Gary Hickey of Charo Steak actually did that, and it's a giant Maine lobster, and he actually brought it in to the studio for us to try for Tasty Bites segment that we do, and it was just absolutely incredible.
How exciting.
Wow.
That is
That
cool.
sounds great, yeah.
And my co-host ran off with it.
I would too. Being mostly pescatarian, I'd be like, that's mine.
Yep. He took off, but it's okay because I don't eat lobster, so it's all right.
Okay, then.
Everybody else said that it was really tasty, though. But can you imagine? I mean, a tamale.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Well, you guys bring a lot of great ideas and a lot of the great eats happening here in Tucson to the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. The restaurant scene is so diverse here. It is just, it's awesome.
That's pretty cool. So, yeah, if you're listening on 1030 The Voice or on our podcast, definitely continue to listen or tune in to the Tucson Tasty Show.
Every Sunday from 3 to 4.
Awesome. And the reason why I asked Wes to be here is because you have not been a radio host your whole life, have you?
No, it's actually about 6 months.
6 months, kind of pursuing a new passion in your world, correct?
Yeah, it's a lot more fun. I get to talk to people. I get to talk about food. I like food. Food brings everybody together. I was raised in an Italian family, and that's literally what we did was we got around the dinner table and we ate, and that's what brought everybody together. Whether there was forks or knives or anything else flying across the table, it didn't matter. There was good food.
Absolutely. Sometimes insults flying across the table too, but not about the food, right?
Never about the food.
Never about the food, just the family members.
The family members did fly across the table a few times.
Yeah, if the wrong words do, then we do, right? No, that's awesome. And
then you all hug and kiss and leave and don't talk to each other for 3 months and get together and do it for another holiday.
That's what family's all about.
Right, that is.
Ron knows that. Ron has a real big family, don't you?
Well, not a real big family, but yeah.
pretty established here in community.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I asked Wes and Ron on here today because I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into more about who Wes Source is, the voice behind the Tucson Tasty
It's a complete
Show.
mystery, and nobody will ever know.
Until today.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're
Let's do
going to
this.
dive into it. Like Candace was on last week, and we just jumped right in. She goes, "Wow, okay, we're going there." I said, "Yeah, we got half an hour. We don't have time to dilly dally in the show." But so I want to talk a little bit about that transition that you went from starting your own radio show, but that came from a history of sales and in the military. What a
Yeah, that's
difference in careers from military life to radio life. How was that for you?
Well, honestly, I mean, with my military career, I was a teacher in the Air Force. I like to say the big long name, which is aerospace physiologist. It usually just leaves people scratching their head and moving on. Because
Sounds impressive.
Yeah, it sounds impressive. I was a teacher though, and I had thousands of hours in the classroom lecturing military members and also FAA members because we actually had FAA flights personnel come through to go through our training, and it was the altitude chamber, and we also had to speak we had to lecture on the altitude chamber. So I sat outside of this box, and I had this captive audience where they couldn't escape because they were in a depressurizing box, and
wow.
all they could hear was me. And if they took off their helmet, they didn't have oxygen, and bad things happen.
Well, that sounds a little bit like the radio, right?
Yeah.
You know, you got your voice coming through their
Yes.
ears and they can't escape. Thank God, right? Don't turn that channel. But how long did you do that career for?
I was in the Air Force for 6 years.
That's quite a long service.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's longer. And I wish I could have continued to serve. But
What made you enlist initially? Were you like that 17, 18-year-old at first or
No.
older?
I waited until I was 21 for myriad of different reasons. I mean, there was just a lot of different reasons that I didn't enlist right after I got out of high school. One is my wife, my now wife. We were still dating, and honestly, if I had left after high school, we wouldn't have gotten married.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to just up and leave. And she was still in high school, and it was just it didn't seem the right timing. And there was a lot going on in my family at that moment, so I stayed in Tucson for another 3 years, and I got into the delayed entry program, waiting for this job to open up because it sounded like a really fun job. I mean, the list was a lot longer when you talk to the recruiter.
Yeah, they promise a lot.
They do.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, I'm going to be lecturing for 3 hours a day. Oh, thank you so much for nothing. But it was a lot of fun, and I got to interact with a lot of different people, and we were definitely put in different situations where you get to do things that you don't normally get to do in the civilian world.
Okay.
And we'll say it that way.
Sure.
Okay. For confidentiality reasons, we won't go into detail there. But so you going into military life actually a little bit older than most. I mean, I think of military, these boys and women that go in, they're still growing up. 30 is the new 18. Do you think you had a little different of an experience since you joined a little later on?
Yeah, probably. Because, I mean, basic training wasn't such a jarring experience for a lot of new military members. I mean, 17, 18, going into the military, you don't have anything other than your parents speaking to you in a raised tone, usually, or hopefully not very often, but, and they're the mind games that they play. Where it was hilarious. I mean, one time I had one of my military training instructors actually get in my face, and he's yelling at me, and he leans into my ear and he goes, "This doesn't affect you at all, does it?" And I said, "Never." And he was like, and then he barked something else at me because it's more just appearances for everybody else, and then he walked off.
Right.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the whole thing is to get your retraining your mind to get in line with the military needs, and you
Right.
listen to an order, and you don't question that order. You move on. And in a lot of ways, the military has changed a lot from then as well.
It has.
Yeah.
It has.
Because I joined in '06 and basic training nowadays, I mean, if you get overstressed, they pull out a card and say, I'm stressed. And they get a 15-minute go down to the snack bar and make any phone calls they want, which never happened. I got to talk to my family 2 times in 6.5 weeks. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is different.
Yeah,
Definitely. Ron, did you ever serve?
I never served. I enlisted when I was 17 between my junior and senior year. I was in the delayed entry program.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then President Bush said, we don't need the delayed entry program anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to go to war anywhere. So they
There you go.
wiped out the delayed entry program and discharged all of us.
It might age you a little, but what year was that then? Is that pre-9/11?
Oh, yeah, that was 1990.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that President Bush.
That
is aging
Senior.
you a little bit, my friend.
Senior. Yeah.
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 I was still in school at that point, and I know Wes is a little younger than I still, but yeah, it was a different time in the 90s. That's when my husband served.
Yeah. Yeah, I enlisted in 89.
But he's learning now that benefits that he didn't think were coming to him, now he can. So they are trying to, I think, correct a lot of that was going on in the 90s. But
Yeah, I think so. And I'm glad I didn't go, because a lot of the people that were the same age as me, they're in Iraq, and they're burning the oil wells and everything was covered with soot, and they were breathing that in 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Yeah, I think they've had a lot of problems after that.
we're looking back and learning a lot about that and
Yeah.
Agent Orange, which I think is one reason why I absolutely love being part of this lineup with U.S. and John McClain and Ron now with the Guys Next Door, all part of the Common Good media lineup that does help support Veteran Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go into break. I want to thank my other sponsors as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have Fork and Fire up in Oro Valley having trivia night on Sundays from 6 to 8. All are welcome to come play, and all the proceeds go to a good cause. And we think We Care Tucson is our newest sponsor, and so we have to thank them as well. And Sarah Souders with Sarah Souders Luxury Real Estate. This is Kiki with Kiki's Best Friends radio show. Come back after the break. There we go.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, friends. This is Kiki with Kiki's Best Friends radio show, sharing stories of people who have been through their worst and now living their best. And I'm here with Ron Arenas of Picture Rocks Cooling and Heating and Air Conditioning. No, Cooling and Heating and Plumbing. I
Picture
almost
Rocks,
had it.
Cooling,
Picture
heating,
Rocks.
and plumbing.
Yeah.
See, Wes has 6 months on me. He's a pro at this. I'm still working out the bugs, folks.
And Kiki Rogers of Country Financial Insurance.
Yes, that is true. As sponsor of the Tucson, I almost had it, the Tucson Tasty Show, right?
Yep. All
I
right.
can't say it as cool as you
We'll
do,
practice.
though. I have Wes Source here and Ron. Ron, share a little bit what's people need to know about Picture Rocks, what's going on right now in the HVAC and plumbing world.
Sure. We're a full-service air conditioning, heating, and plumbing contractor for both residential and commercial. Right now, of course, it's the cold time in Tucson, so we're just making sure everyone has a safe, efficient heating source for their business or their home.
Mm-hmm.
And also just making sure that their water's on and everything's flowing.
And how do they find you or get a hold of you guys?
And they can give us a call at 520-440-4069 or picturerockscooling.com.
And Ron's here as my co-host today, helping me with our fellow radio host, Wesley Source.
Hello.
Hello again. And we're talking about Wes's service time and transitioning that into the civilian world. And so we were sharing a little bit how you had started at the Air Force at 21, served for 6 years.
And actually something very similar to what happened with Ron, the military decided that they didn't need anybody. So they cut 50,000 airmen officers and everything
wow.
in the beginning of 2012, and I kind of got wrapped into that.
Right.
But it was disappointing. It was jarring, and I actually had to come home and move in with my parents because it was very sudden. I mean, they literally said, we're not going to give you re-enlistment, and you have X amount of time off. So you got to go use that now. So pack up your stuff and leave.
Yeah, they don't give you much warning.
They
No.
really don't.
They
That's
don't.
what I was saying about my husband. He served in the reserves.
Oh, okay.
All of his trainings always went 5 months and a couple of weeks, and then they would
Mhm.
send him home. So he never hit that 6-month mark.
Which is disappointing.
Yeah.
But, they played those games.
Mhm.
And then after I got out, I was looking for a job for 2.5 months because the market was flooded with recently severed military members.
Right.
And at this point, you had a family that was starting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I had Morgan, my oldest, and my wife was pregnant.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Yep. And she was a couple months pregnant. Yeah. No. So she was 3 months pregnant. Yeah, when we left the military. So I had to figure out what we were doing there. I got hired by the first person that offered me a job was a pest control company,
Okay.
Home Team Pest Defense,
Hmm.
and John Fedque was the manager up in Catalina, just outside of Saddlebrook. That's where the main office was. So I was out there, and I learned how to kill bugs, and apparently I was pretty good at it. And then got hired by Truly Nolan, which was really nice because I was living in Rancho Cerrita.
Okay.
And Truly Nolan, that branch was
I
in
see them
Green
around
Valley.
with the mouse cars, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I got to drive a mouse car eventually. And the most terrifying thing about that is the first time you get on the freeway, those mouse ears don't just lay down and stay there.
They probably flap all over the place
And
and hit your
it's-
roof.
Make a lot of
Sounded
noise.
like there was a jet engine trying to like rev up on my roof, and I pulled over to the side of the road and called, and I was like, I broke everything, and they said, nope, that's normal. Have fun.
I get that. I have a very old vehicle with a luggage raft kind of thing on top of the I'm on radio. I can't forget what I'm saying. The glass on the top of your roof, that moonroof.
Oh,
Moonroof.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So if I hit 80 miles an hour, that thing starts going on the freeway, and I have to slow down. So
I know how to fix that.
Do
If
you? Thank God.
If you want some
well,
help, I know
we'll
somebody
talk
that can
about
help
that
you
off
fix
the air. But
Yeah.
so you transitioned from military to civilian life, started
did.
working pest control, and then when I met you, you were doing sales for solar. So you were kind of still in that home industry.
Yeah, and really, what happened was when I was with Truly Nolan, I started outselling the sales guys. I was a technician, and as a technician, it was just, hey, I see this problem. Here's your solution. Let's get it taken care of, and
Right.
here's the order. Because I'm looking at these houses, once every other month, once a quarter, once a month, and it just makes sense to do that. And so they switched me over to the sales side, and
Okay.
then I would literally just go and do inspections for all of my old customers, and I took over that part, and I had the highest grossing month, I think my second month in that position, and it beat everybody else in the region.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So all of Arizona, I had the biggest month by almost double everybody else, which was crazy.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
Very
and,
exciting.
Because of that, I had another friend that was in the flooring industry, and he said, hey, you need to come work with us because you're not getting paid enough by Truly Nolan. And so I was like, I'll give it a shot, and I did, and I did very well there. I was top 3 year after year, and then my Air Force injuries started kicking in a little bit more,
right.
and I can't carry around a tile and throw them around like I used to. So I had to figure out what I needed to do to move on from that. So solar made sense because solar does make sense, and especially in Tucson, if you want to lock in your bill and keep that low low monthly payment. But at the end of the day, I met John McLean through that because I started advertising through that, and he said, "Hey, you need to do
okay.
a show with me," and
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah.
Look at, and I started advertising on your show, and here we are again.
Yep.
Kind of see a pattern there happening,
Yeah.
guys. But that still, I mean, I'm still doing my day job. I mean, I think you were maybe a month into this, and you said to me, "I'm leaving solar." They did some changes at your job, but you saw this passion, you saw this drive for the gastronomy and for sharing those stories of the chefs, and you started your own show. Where did you tap into to do something so different than what you were used to?
To be honest, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing I've been doing, though. I mean,
Okay.
if you look at it from just outside look, I'm still in sales. I still have a relationship with my clients. I still have to sell myself, and I'm still talking. I'm just talking to different people.
Okay.
And one of the nice things about talking to chefs is that they always there's usually a very big passion for food, so they want to talk about what they're doing. They just don't have that outlet a lot of the times, and you see that with Food Network and other food shows. We won't mention them here, but you see that passion when people go into the kitchen and they just hear their story. And it did take me some time to get in with the chefs because I started to have to go to events and introduce myself 5, 6, 7 times, and finally, I think we finally gotten to a point where they all know who I am. So when I call them and say, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" They're like, "Yeah, I'd love to come on the show."
Yeah,
So
they're waiting for it.
They are.
Yeah.
And Ron's been a part of that. You've been on the
Yes.
show, and you've started Guys Next Door. So how's that experience been for you?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Yeah. It's a whole new world.
Do you feel like you're following your passions or doing something that tapping into something new for you?
I do.
Yeah.
I've been doing little things on radio for the past 12 years. In different shows.
I think I even heard you on Wake Up Tucson not too long ago.
Yeah.
Did I not?
You did, yeah, just last Friday.
Yeah, Ron's everywhere, guys. And if it's not Ron, it's Frank or it's Ryan. Yeah.
His twin.
But you guys are quite a pillar here in the community.
Well, thank you.
And I'm excited about your new shows. I'm excited about Wes and the Tucson Tasty Show.
Oh, just wait to see what comes out next because we've got some amazing changes happening in the next month. Going live is the first part of it. We have 2 new segments, which are going to be incredible and just a lot of fun. And then we're also going to be spinning off some other things. So stay tuned. We're excited to share it. Can't share it yet, not until everything's in place.
Well, how can people follow you either on YouTube or their podcasts or Facebook?
Absolutely. So I'm driving everybody towards YouTube right now because that's where you get to see me. That's where you get to hear me. But I'm on every podcast platform. I mean, it doesn't matter which platform you pull open. I'm probably there, and it's The Tasty Show. And on YouTube, you can find us at The Tasty Show 520. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share.
And that's 520 for the Tucson area code.
Yep, right. Yep, that's the Tucson area code. That's the Tasty Show 520. And you'll be able to see some really cool stuff there, and hopefully we'll get some more content out there because we're going to be working with some of the chefs to get some techniques out, which is really cool. I think I could share that one, and some other cooking, advice for people that like to cook.
So this show goes everywhere, but we do have a very strong military presence here in Tucson with the Air Force Base, and we have a lot of listeners who have also been through very similar paths as yourselves. What advice do you give to someone who's transitioning from one career to the next or wants to follow their passion?
Find an amazing mentor, somebody that can understand where you came from, because one of the biggest things that I struggled with was transitioning from the military, that rigid structure, to civilian. There's no such thing as a gray area in the military. It's kind of black and white, and other people would say no, that's not true, but realistically, if you've got the black and white, you're good. But in the civilian world, it's all gray. It's just colors of gray, and you've got to figure out how to operate within society that way.
I think that's great advice. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime that you're going to a new venture, you want to pair up with someone that has already done it, or someone that knows it better than you and that you can learn from. Which
is why I invited these guys, folks. They know it, and they have been great mentors to me, and I am so honored to have you here. And we're already out of time. I told you that half hour goes fast, didn't I?
It very quick.
So I want to thank you, Wes, for being here. Definitely listen to the Tucson Tasty Show and follow them on the Tasty Show 520 on YouTube. Ron Arenas with Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
Thank you.
I got it right. And listen in every week. Thanks, guys. And be the best. I forgot my tagline. I'm going to get better at this. Can you slice that in?
Say it now.
I'm going to say it now for the YouTubers. Be the best that you can be, because nobody else can do it better than you. Bye, YouTube. Bye, everyone.